every single one of our major customers and minor customers all shut their doors overnight.
You need the right people in the right place at the right time. And sometimes you have the right people in the right place, but at the wrong time.
I've got to keep going forward. I've got to keep looking for revenue streams. I've got to keep looking for growth, keep looking at new ways of doing things.
But, what's the culture like at the business? What do we stand for, the values?
I've got to tick that box on my personal development program I don't really want to be here.
Scaling up a business isn't easy. If it were, we wouldn't have less than 4% of businesses scaling beyond 10 employees or around £1 million turnover level, and less than 1% beyond 50 employees. But the contribution that we make as owner-managers to our economies is immense and should never be underestimated. Yet it can be a tough gig for all of us at times, and only other business owners truly understand the challenges that we face. And through ScaleUp Radio, we aim to help make things a little easier. We interview guests who have been where you are now and may have faced some of the challenges that you are facing. And they offer their thoughts and advice on what has worked for them, as well as what didn't. And we've also combined many of the lessons from these interviews and also through working with hundreds of owner managers over the last 10 years or so into a practical scale-up handbook that we've called the Entrepreneurial Scale-Up System, or ESUS. And it's for owner managers like you and me as we navigate our own scale-up journey. And you can order a copy through your favourite online book retailer or by going to all the W's, esusgroup.co.uk, www.esusgroup.co.uk.
Hello, I'm Granger Forson, and on this week's episode of ScaleUp Radio, I'm talking to Andre Smague of A&B Fencing. A&B Fencing do pretty much what they say on the tin, but they're a little bit more than that. They're bespoke timber builders, meaning that they can help you with the construction of anything from a fence right the way through to a man cave in your garden. The company has been in business for 35 years, and Andre originally came in as a consultant 5 years ago, and the last 3 years has been full-time. As always, we cover an awful lot of ground in our conversation, including the benefit of keeping the organisation quite lean when it comes to staff within your business, why focusing on quality, not output, will scale your business dramatically, the importance of working towards a healthy culture within your business, and why putting your staff first leads to success in all parts of business. What is good to see with Andre and A&B Fencing as a whole is the way in which they approach staff development within their business and the importance they place on it. I know you'll get something of value from this episode, so let's go over and speak with Andre. Hello, Andre Smague. Welcome to ScaleUp Radio. Would you like to introduce yourself and your company?
Okay, hi Granger. My name's Andre Smague. I'm sales manager for a company in the Cotswolds based in Cirencester, A&B Fencing.
Brilliant. And the name probably gives it away, but take us through in terms of what you do, how big you are, and what you've been up to recently.
Okay, so the clue's in the title. We are a fencing business, but we're way more than that as well. Our strength and our strong point is we are bespoke timber builders. So we get involved with man caves, very sort of flashy garden sheds, garden offices, tree houses, saunas, and lots of different interesting buildings, summer houses that sort of face lakes. And yeah, so we build all sorts of bin stores, all sorts of garden furniture, have a bespoke range. We've got two lovely carpenters that do all of our work in-house. We've got a manufacturing workshop here in Cirencester, and then 3 teams of installers, 1 van which is based around the installation of our timber buildings. So those guys go out and do concrete slabs and prepare everything. They then go out a week or 2 later and install the bespoke timber buildings on site. And then we've got 2 vans that do more of the traditional timber fencing, post and rail, feather edge, panels. We make all of the panels in-house ourselves. Our premium product is contemporary trellis, which seems to be very popular in the Cotswolds because it goes quite nicely with the Cotswold stone, with the Cotswold stone architecture. You've got lots of Cotswold stone walls, all a bit abstract. The contemporary trellis is sort of horizontal battens, which is all quite linear, and they complement each other quite nicely. We do lots of trade work. We've got like maybe 10 independent fencing businesses that come in and buy the materials from us. And we also manufacture gates, field gates, T&G gates, feather edge gates, a whole different range of gates. We install pergolas, lots and lots of, all things garden based really. And yeah, we've been established for, 10, 15 years now in the area. Business has grown really significantly. We were very fortunate through the COVID times because we were still allowed to work. We were construction and working outside. So our guys were really busy throughout this time. Lots of people working from home and have now gone into this sort of hybrid working. So as a consequence, we've been really busy doing lots and lots of garden offices. And yeah, just really fortunate, great team of people, really good culture. And it's a great business to work for.
Brilliant. So when did you join them?
Originally, I came on as a consultant. So I've been working with the business for about 5 years now. Originally, one of the business owners engaged with me. I'm formerly the manufacturing advisor. I've worked for the manufacturing advisory service, and formerly I'm the manufacturing advisor for Gloucester. I spent quite a few years doing that. Then after Brexit, a lot of the funding was cut. I went out on my own and set up my own consultancy. Unfortunately, during the sort of COVID times, a lot of my work dried up and I came on to work for these guys full time. But sort of 2 years previous to COVID, the business engaged with me. We did some strategy maps. We did some recruitment. We did a lot of stuff around, the business journey. And I've been working with them for 5 years. So the first 2 years was on a consultancy basis. And then when the COVID sort of pandemic hit, they became extremely busy. My business became very quiet. So within a few months, it seemed sensible for me to come and join these guys. They offered me an opportunity to work in there, to work with the team. So there's 3 of us in terms of the senior management structure, the 2 business owners and myself. And I took on the position of sales manager. And it's a wonderful business to work for. I was really fortunate in terms of getting involved with a lot of the recruitment early on. So most of the people that work for the business are people that I've known and engaged with. Wonderful culture, and I really enjoy just felt really fortunate, during those COVID months to be able to continue working and work for a great business. And we're all really happy with how it's evolved.
Brilliant. So how many employees currently are you? What size?
So we're 15 strong. And when I first joined the business, we had about 8.
Brilliant. And you've talked about your growth. What sort of percentage growth are you seeing at the moment? As a business. So we during the COVID months, or a couple of years through COVID, and the business really grew quite significantly. We found that we're able to retain those numbers. So probably when I first joined the business, turnover was around sort of 400,000. We're up to 1 million now, and that seems to be sustainable. So our growth trajectory has slowed significantly as we've come out of COVID, because it was an incredibly busy time for us, but we're still on that growth path. So perhaps now, we're looking at 1.2 million next year, probably, something similar the following year. But then with the plans that we have, we'd be looking to take that a little bit further into year 3. Again, it's very difficult to predict in the current climate, because obviously with the challenges around energy and, people have less disposable income now. We are fortunate in terms of our demographic and where we are. We're in the Cotswolds, which is a sort of fairly affluent area. We do very well at our repeat business. Challenging times ahead, I think. But I think we are, as mentioned to you earlier on, we run very lean. We tend to bring in, we've got a sort of structure where we'll bring in labourers initially, and then there's a career path and a career journey for them to eventually become lead fencers.
We've got 2 carpenters that work full time. Both of those chaps started on sort of a part-time basis, but as our growth and capacity is needed to increase, we've brought them in on full-time hours. We are looking at, potentially bringing in another carpenter in about 12 months' time, just depending on, at the moment, we're probably three months in advance in terms of our bespoke buildings, which is quite nice. That's sort of, the lead time is, probably about 8 to 12 weeks on most things. And, we monitor that continuously. We don't want to go beyond 12 weeks, but we certainly don't want to go under 8. So it's just a question of looking at the numbers all the time, making sure that people are busy. But as previously stated, we run fairly lean. So with holidays and so forth, we're we move in a nice direction most of the time. Yeah. We have regular strategy meetings, and the numbers form a lot of our decision making.
Excellent. So just to explore a bit more of your business model. So you talk about bespoke creations and building things, etc. So how does that work? How do you engage with a client? What do you sort of take them through?
It's a really pleasant journey. It's probably the part of the journey that I enjoy the most. So initially I'll go out to site. We'll talk to the customer in terms of budget, expectation, what they're looking for. We then take those notes away from site. I'll often go out with an iPad. So we use Instagram and Facebook. We post everything that we create is photographed and posted. We've got a huge gallery. So I'll go out on site, have a chat to the customer, show them some of the things that we've done previously, give them some ideas. We then take those ideas back to base, have a meeting if necessary with the carpenters, look at what we can and can't do, get some sketches together, and a quote in terms of cost, send that back through to the customer, and then it becomes quite a fluid process. The customer that will then come back to us, we'll probably have another on-site meeting. Once the customer's happy with the concept, that's drawn up properly, it's priced properly, and we'll look at all of the the various options in terms of the glazing, the locks, the cladding for the building, all of that kind of stuff. And then when the customer's happy with the final quote, they then accept that quote and we go into production. We offer our customers the opportunity to come into our workshop, to engage with our carpenters, to look at the buildings as they're being constructed. Again, once we've finished construction, we'll then program in the installation dates. More often than not, the customer will require a concrete base. So we'll go out a week or two beforehand, put the base in place, and then the following week or two, the guys then go out to site with all the materials, get the sheds, or the building erected, and then it's completed over the next couple of days. Sometimes we'll ply line it, sometimes it'll have a different style of roof. There are lots of different variables that come into the final construction. I then go back on site once it's all built, just check with the customer that they're happy with everything, and then we move on to the next project.
And you talk about that you invite your customers if they want to sort of come into the workshop and see construction taking place. Do many of them do that?
Yeah, it's surprising when you make that offer. It's surprising how many take you up on it. It's a really nice experience as well, because there's nothing that illustrates our culture better than coming in. You smell the wood, which is lovely. Yeah, it's a really nice environment to work in. We've got a very tidy working environment. So we adopt all the policies with my background. We adopt all the policies of lean. So I think it creates a nice impression when customers come in and can see that the carpenters are working in a very clean, organised manner. The carpenters are really nice, engaging chaps. So they often, like to spend that time talking to the customer. And we tend to find that if we involve the carpenters, sometimes the carpenters will come out to site with me. We tend to find that if we involve the carpenters in the customer conversation, the results are always better. They understand customer requirements better than I can explain. So again, it's something that we encourage every every opportunity on some of the more complicated installations. So we did a treehouse just recently, which is effectively putting a shed up on stilts, and it was for a lovely lady, and she had 2 granddaughters, and we got the carpenters to go out, meet the grandchildren, get everything spec'd up properly, and the final result was wonderful. Like, we've got some really nice photographs, and again, it's just one of those, because it was fairly complex. We sent the carpenter out to oversee the installation, and the end results were wonderful. Really happy customer, really happy grandchildren, and the carpenter enjoyed himself as well.
Brilliant. Oh, that's fantastic. And you've talked about your culture, and we'll come to that in shortly. But just wondering, in terms of growth, so you've gone, from 400k now to million. You're going to aim to probably deliver 1.2 in the next year. Significant growth. What do you think makes you different? Why do you stand out in the marketplace?
I think it's the overall customer experience. So whether we're going to install 2 meters of picket fencing, or 500 meters of 6'6" feather edge, we treat everybody the same. We engage. We do everything that we say we're going to do in a timely manner. We don't delay on quotes and customer conversation. We're always there to answer questions. But I think most importantly, not everything goes well and to plan. So I think it's our reaction to issues. So for example, we might fit a gate or a pair of gates, and sometimes wood will twist a little bit, things will drop a little bit. We go out to site immediately. If we can't rectify the problem, we remake and refit. And it's that effort we make in terms, again, just as part of our customer journey, we encourage our customers to write reviews. We've got 1,000, or probably up to 1,000 now, really positive reviews on Google. We concentrate extremely hard on making sure that those reviews are responded to. If they're, if we've had 1 or 2 negative ones, we respond to them immediately. But I think it's the overall customer journey. It's the after sales approach that probably separates us from our competition. We have a real focus on making sure that the customer is happy. And yeah, as a business, it's it's my responsibility to make sure that customer expectations are always exceeded. We work really hard in our communication climate. All of the guys that go on site appreciate and understand they're ambassadors for our business. Everybody's uniformed. I'm the sales manager, and I wear a logoed polo shirt. The 2 business owners wear logoed polo shirts. All of the guys in the workshop. It's a real family approach in terms of our culture, and hopefully that's that comes across at every level. So from the moment we engage, picking up the phone for the inquiry. So whether that's one of the guys in, I've got an assistant, a workshop supervisor who does most of the booking of the quotes. So right from that first phone call to when I get out on site, and if we're fortunate enough then for the guys to get the go ahead on the work, when the guys then get out on site, the fitters, we respect people's homes. We just work really hard on the customer journey. We also use social media to its maximum. We post every day on Instagram. We've got a YouTube channel with some how-to-dos, and our Facebook page again. We post regularly. Lots of pictures of the guys, lots of pictures of us working, lots of pictures of the finished product, and we tend to find that that really supports the whole customer journey.
So you've talked quite a few times now about the very positive culture in the business. So that's a bit more. What do you mean by this positive culture? How's it come about in your business?
So the 2 business owners are great. They both have a real appetite for self-improvement, and they engage in lots of courses. As a business, we're always, and with my background, we're always looking at the growth hub and what's available, what training's available, how we can contribute to the local community. Everybody in the business has a voice. So we have regular meetings, we have regular management meeting. We have a regular meeting with the guys. We've got WhatsApp groups for the lead fencers so they can share best practice. All of the carpenters get together on a weekly basis for a small production meeting, again, where they share best practice. We explore the bad stuff. So, if we get a negative review, if we get something that overruns on site, if we misquote, all of that is explored in a really positive way. How can we learn? We work extremely hard. So we've all done psychometric assessments and all understand how best to communicate with one another. We really focus on the communication climate. So, as I've mentioned, everybody in the business has a voice. We encourage everybody to share their opinions, share their experience, and it just makes for a really nice working place. We're really fortunate. The guys that join us, we pay our staff very well. So the carpenters are very well paid, the fencers are very well paid, probably a little bit over the industry averages. And the reason we do that is because they work extremely hard. We create a good work-life balance for them. So they start we are quite strict in terms of our start time. So we expect start time's 8 o'clock, but we expect everyone in just a little bit before 8 o'clock, have your coffee and get ready. But we make sure that everybody goes home at 4:30. We understand that, the guys need, a lot of our guys are young, they've got young families, and we understand it's really important that they get that time with their family. A lot of our competition will make their teams work later during the summer months, and, obviously you lose a bit of time in the winter months. We stick very strictly to an 8 till 4:30 day. If they're not going to finish, they'll overrun and they'll go back in the morning. We communicate with our clients all the time to ensure that they understand of any, sort of delays, and they do happen. But I think the most important thing is just having the relationship with the staff where they understand that they're very well thought of. We spend money in terms of making sure they've got the right equipment. So we use like high spec power tools. It's all Hilti. We've got like a contract with Hilti to make sure that the guys have got the very best kit. They've all got waterproof uniform, and we replace their boots when they need replacing. We have, social days. Christmas is just coming up. We're all going go-karting, and we've got a minibus that will take us, and we'll go for a meal and a few drinks afterwards. We have a company gym that's free to use for all of the lads. So it's creating an environment where the staff feel that they're part of the team. They feel that they're very well thought of, and most importantly, where they have a voice. So any changes that the guys might suggest are always listened to, and if they're appropriate and practical, then we undertake them.
Oh, that's brilliant. So I can really see how that then generates such a high performance culture. And
not many people leave.
yeah, I can definitely see that. Which is great. Yeah, absolutely. And I guess off the back of that, you're very, very productive then. The teams are really delivering what they need to when they need to.
They work hard, they work really hard, and they support each other. So what happens on a daily basis is if one of the guys has finished, they'll then call their colleagues. If their colleagues are, certainly within, a few miles or they need some support, they need some help, the guys then go out to that job and help on that job. So, more often than not, with clearance, my assistant, Chris, will jump in the flatbed. If the guys have got a heavy clearance, he'll go out and spend a couple of hours out there, taking away the debris. We've got like a waste license, and so we remove all waste and dispose of it responsibly. It's just a collective approach of support and help. When the guys get back, if they've got like a particularly heavy day, the following day, everyone loads the vehicles together just to make sure that we're all ready to start work. We have a policy that if everybody's finished on a Friday, we let them go. So again, just everybody working towards that. Let's get everybody finished. Let's get everybody finished on a Friday, and then we can all go home. The senior guys, we stay till 4:30 because we've got a trade counter. But once the lads have finished their day on a Friday, they're allowed to, and everyone's back at base. We let the guys go.
So it's fantastic to hear the fact that, you know, it's a people first culture, but that then delivers the growth, the expectations for your clients. They value that, they can see that, and the business is really successful. And it all starts with that people focused approach first.
Yeah, definitely. You know, one of the things I said earlier on was, you know, I can go out and I can sell the business. I can tell the clients that, you know, we've got guys that really enjoy what they do, and you know, they're very good at what they do. They're professionals, but that only goes so far. It's when the guys go out there and actually illustrate that, you know, you get the repeat business, you get those really good reviews. And it's, you know, the nicest review that I can read is, you know, sales guy came out and the guys delivered exactly what the sales guy said. So, you know, that's the real strength we have in the business. We've got some super chaps that have been with us, you know, for 8, 9, 10 years. And it's developing, you know, I mentioned earlier on in terms of we like to get people in and mold them into our culture. So we're not looking at employing, you know, we never look to employ like a lead fencer. We'll get, you know, we tend to go for for somebody who wants to come in and, you know, have a career, and they'll start on the van as a labourer. They'll then progress through and have the opportunity through our kind of scale, our tiered scale, to, you know, to end up as a lead fencer, or, you know, potentially like a workshop supervisor, something like that. So it's all about learning from, you know, from the bottom up, as it were. And we find that works really well for us, because the lead fencers are really good guys. If you come in with the right attitude, you know, you'll be taught the job, you'll be shown how to do things, and then, you know, really the only limit is yourself.
And a lot of businesses we talk to are talking, you know, they struggle to find people, or the people they find don't sort of work out or deliver for them in terms of doing that. So how do you go about finding that first role, that the labourer, in terms of bringing them in? You know, what's your approach? We've been really fortunate. So a lot of the guys a lot of the time when there's an opportunity, because of our staff and their understanding of the culture and the environment, we've got lots of family members that want to join. We've got lots of friends of the guys that want to join. So we're really fortunate in terms of, you know, we've got two labourers with us at the moment. I'm sure they won't mind me mentioning them. Ryan and Charlie. We put a post up on our Facebook page, put a post up on our Instagram, just saying that we had an opportunity for 2 labourers to join the business. We had loads of inquiries. 2 guys that came in, right attitude, you know, wanted to learn, didn't have a lot of experience, but you don't necessarily need it. It's all about, you know, what we say to the guys is what you lack in experience, you can make up for in effort. Just be inquisitive, just ask questions, and the guys that you'll be working with are really experienced, really knowledgeable. If you come in with the right attitude, you know, they'll help. And the 2 lead fencers that were working with those 2 chaps came back after a couple of weeks and said, look, brilliant, really working hard. And you know, every now and again you get someone that comes in and that doesn't quite fit. We tend to notice that very quickly. I do most of the interviews and the recruitment. What I always say to the guys is, it's not me that you need to keep happy, it's the lead fencer that you're working with. And that often, you know, you can often tell after a week or 2, if the lead fencer comes back and says, look, wrong guy for the team, you know, we get them in and say, look, you know, we'll pay you to the end of the week. I'm really sorry. This is not for you. But that happens very infrequently. In my time here, that's probably happened twice. We've been really lucky with the guys that we get in. It is a great place to work. You know, the guys are well paid. They are looked after right from day one. So, you know, they get uniform and equipment right from day one. And yeah, it tends to work because the guys that are leading the vans are very experienced. They've been part of this communication climate and culture for some time. So they communicate in the right way. They nurture, coach, develop. And, you know, we like I say, we're really fortunate. We've got lots of people that are waiting for an opportunity. Yeah. And so, you know, when and again, it's not massively often that we get an opportunity, but when we do,
We've always got, 2 or 3 people that are waiting in the wings that really want to join. And most of the people in my experience have, grabbed the opportunity with both hands. The 2 chaps we've got now, Ryan and Charlie, both been with us maybe about 3 or 4 months each and doing fantastically well. They come in now and they get on with what they need to get on with, been welcomed by the team, they're contributing. One lad's a little bit more quiet than the other, but you're already starting to see that, that personality come out and develop a little bit as his confidence increases because of the welcome that he's received. And it's really nice to see. One of the best experiences I had was we've got a lead fencer now, a lad called Cam, fantastic lad. He had a few issues, I think, when he was at school. He went to do a job at one of his old teachers, on one of his old teachers' properties. And the teacher actually made the effort to come in and thank us, and he had some really nice words to say in terms of it's really nice to see how that young man has developed and how confident he is from his journey from school. And that was probably one of the most rewarding things as a senior manager in a business, is having, this chap's ex-teacher coming in and saying, look, you guys have done a really good job with him. He's confident, he's got a lovely family, lovely home, and he's a really strong member of the team. And from a difficult time at school, like I say, it was just hugely rewarding for us as a business to be part of that development.
And I can really see that in terms of doing that. You've mentioned a few times now, you're lucky to find people, or actually, I don't think it's luck. It's the environment, the culture that you've created attracts people, and people want to do those. I've met other organizations that have a passion for people like yourself, and they also have people that are waiting. I think it's when you build that amazing culture of people first and really helping people grow and develop, then actually you don't have the recruitment problems that other businesses have. So, well done on that.
Well, they're your best resource, aren't they? They're your best resource. If you can develop your team, everything else kind of looks after itself. Those are the guys that are out there, delivering for us. So if we can create a nice environment for them, they're far more likely to work well, and then they're able to then illustrate what we talk about when we're on site quoting with the customer.
Brilliant. So the business has grown significantly, in terms of your growth over the last few years. What do you think? Let's sort of explore that a little bit and give some thoughts to that. So, what do you think has gone well, and what didn't go well, and would you have you redesigned, because you've talked about that process already?
Okay. So when I first joined the business, our timber buildings were problematic. We'd built quite a few, and there were some that were leaking. And what we did is we brought in a really experienced carpenter, a chap called Ken, and another chap called Tomo. So we brought in 2 very experienced carpenters. One of the other carpenters was sort of coming up to retirement age and was leaving in any case. And then we set aside, as a business, we kind of had to make a decision. Were we going to continue with bespoke timber buildings? Were we going to do something a little bit more generic, or were we going to scrap it completely? I felt in terms of sales that there was a really good opportunity for us to take over an element of the market which didn't seem to be being serviced. There seemed to be a lot of requirement, or lots of inquiries around some bespoke stuff. So it was really important for me that we understood what we were doing and how we would do it. By engaging with those carpenters, it became very apparent very quickly that the way that we were manufacturing wasn't best practice. We started to use some different materials. So we switched from felt on the roofs to Firestone rubber. We constructed the sheds differently. And within 6 months of taking on these new guys, we found that we'd removed most of the problems from the construction of the timber buildings. As that has developed, that's increased our confidence in terms of our capability. So where I went out initially and was maybe tentative around certain inquiries, now I'm very bullish and very confident. So because we spent a little bit more money on the staff in terms of, the skilled staff, the carpenters, that's reaped rewards in terms of our capability. So that's helped massively. By having that growth on the timber buildings, and I mentioned, our capacity now is 8 to 12 weeks in terms of a timber building, depending on its size and construction style. That has then meant that we've kept the shed installation team extremely busy. By doing so, that then led to the fencing team, because we only had one other fencing team at that particular time, becoming booked up for 3-4 months in advance. That then gave us the confidence and capacity to take on another vehicle, take on another, promote one of the guys that had worked in the business for a while into a lead fencer. And so the business has developed quite naturally through increasing our capacity with our bespoke timber buildings. And whilst we're called A&B fencing, 40-50% of our revenue comes from the bespoke timber buildings. So again, working then with our independent customers, giving them the option to offer that same service to their clients and customers, again, has increased our capacity. So having strong trade relationships, having capability has all really supported the growth. And like I say, again, through those COVID years, there was a big shift in terms of people's need for outside buildings. That increased fairly significantly, again, through our kind of marketing approach by posting pictures of what we do. That's helped. And then you get the situation where, someone will go and have a barbecue over at someone's house. They'll look at the construction of the timber building they've got. And we picked up loads of inquiries from that type of indirect marketing, I guess you'd call it. So yeah, just fortunate, we're in a good part of the world, sort of geographically. We've got some great capability. We feel really fortunate in terms of what we do. We enjoy what we do. I think that comes across in pretty much all of our communication. So yeah, I'll say it many times probably through this this interview. It's a great business in a great area with great people.
And I think to summarise in terms of that key change that then pivoted your business, pivoting is the right word, but changed the business, that focus on quality, getting it right, making it exceptional.
Absolutely.
For your customer.
Absolutely.
That's the key change I'm hearing from yourself in terms of that was the aha moment, which then, yeah.
We pitch ourselves at the top of the market, and when you do that, you've got to follow up. So it's got to be excellent customer service. It's got to be excellent build quality, and then it's got to be excellent after sales. Like I said earlier on, not everything goes well and right first time. Sometimes it's going back out onto site and tweaking those problems, and it's your approach, it's the way that you communicate, and yeah, quality is absolutely king in our market.
So what in the marketplace today, in terms of what drives you crazy, what really frustrates you with in the marketplace?
Material costs. Material costs probably. We buy the best materials, because obviously, as we're just talking about, the quality. So we don't want cladding that's going to, bend and buckle. We buy the very best materials, the very best carcassing. The war in the Ukraine and, the Russian-Ukraine war has had an impact in terms of the timber that's available. Escalating material costs have been difficult for us. We've tried to absorb those. That's probably the most frustrating thing. Other than that, our customers are great, our people are great. The way that we market our business is fantastic. So, the level of inquiry is right. We get the right types of inquiry. Probably the most frustrating thing is the cost of material and the availability of material. So we're often constrained in terms of our capacity by being able to get materials in time. So it's things like, it's the more bespoke elements. So it's things like the sort of the timber framed doors and windows that we often buy. It can be the glass. We're fairly good with the rubber because we buy a lot of it. But the timber will fluctuate massively. The costs have trebled in the last year, and sort of trying to absorb those costs into your cost structure and your build structure is often difficult. It's often challenging communicating that with a customer in terms of, if you order this now, it's this price. If we've had to put a 30-day 30-day clause into our quotes. So probably the most frustrated thing is I might go and quote a building today. It may be 2 to 3 months before I get the go ahead on the building. I then have to go back, revisit the costs, and wherever possible, we don't pass those on. But sometimes you'll need to go back and have that kind of difficult conversation with the customer saying, look, this was priced at maybe perhaps 8,000, it's got to be, 8,900 now due to, an increase in this, and this. So yeah, the challenges are around material cost and availability.
Right. Well, and if you could have a magic wand, how thinking about the future of the business, how could you impact that?
Wow, that's a great question. I don't know. The more I think probably what I would like is more community-based stuff. So more support for the team, more training and development, more engagement from growth hubs and government, support for small businesses in terms of rates, and just all of that kind of stuff. As a business, we know where we're going. We know how to treat our staff and how to develop them, but some support around that would probably be where I would wave my wand. More people like you, Granger.
Absolutely. We love to help people. That's the power. So fantastic in terms of your story so far. The culture that you've created with the two business owners, focusing on people and then focusing on quality, and the way that has delivered the growth of your business through even these challenging times of COVID and other times now, and you're still growing even though you've got cost challenges, etc. And how you've found the right people through your hiring process and your thinking in terms of that. It's a fantastic journey and thoughts. So where do you see yourselves in 5 years' time? And if we were having this conversation in 5 years' time, looking back at the last 5 years, what's going to be, for you personally and also for the business, would you define as success?
Okay, so the first thing, I guess, to say is I would like to see the business, the development of all the staff that are currently here. So that's something that's very rewarding. So in 5 years' time, some of the guys that are maybe working as labourers now, having their own vehicles, so growth in the business, supporting maybe a couple more trade customers would be wonderful. In terms of that 5-year vision, though, the way that we tend to operate as a business is we will look at the next 12 months. So we strategy map every 3 months. We'll have a strategy meeting every 3 months. We look at the business, and what we tend to say is the 12 months, we know where we're going, we know what the plans are, they're pretty set in stone. I mean, even now it's probably, a little bit more challenging than previously. But those first 12 months that we look at are black and white, we say. Anything beyond that is a little bit hazy because, as the last 3 or 4 years have told us, so many different things can happen. So many different things that are unknown. So it's really difficult to predict where we're going to be. We meet every 3 months and we kind of extend that 12-month period. So we're always looking 12 months ahead. Beyond that 12 months, it's all, like I say, it's just a bit hazy. So we plan as best as we can. In 5 years' time, I would like to think the business is doing double the numbers that it's doing now. We've got more people on the ground, more boots on the ground, possibly supplying some of the more bespoke garden centres. So we've looked at maybe partnering up with with a garden centre, perhaps having a bit of space in, and building for a more trade-based, on a more trade-based relationship. But developing the people, that's the real drive of this business. It's to develop the people, and by developing the people, the business then naturally develops itself. The more we can do, the more we can help, the more customers that we can bring in, the more trade relationships that we can encourage. That gives us the opportunity to then bring the staff in and put them through our experience. And, I see the business growing organically through the continued development of our staff. We market very well. We're very fortunate in terms of our geographic. There are areas close by that we haven't tapped into. So Swindon's a big marketplace for us. We tend to do quite a bit in the Cotswolds, Stroud, and Cirencester, Minchinhampton, all of those lovely areas. All of this, but there's we've got Bristol's close, Swindon's close, Oxford's close. So there's an opportunity for the business to perhaps develop satellite sites in some of those areas. I think kind of just spreading our geographical footprint is sort of natural and organic growth for us. And then that would give us the opportunity to move some of the guys that we've got here into some of those areas and start to develop the same as what we've done here Swindon's a really interesting opportunity for us. And as a business, we've strategically identified that, and we are currently under, there are some small tasks that we're undertaking just to see if there's some space in Swindon that we can use, and if there's a potential opportunity for us to tap into that market.
Brilliant. Well, what a fantastic ideas and opportunities and what you're looking for. And I totally agree in terms of that every 3 months, that we call it Smart 90, that process of reviewing and setting the goals for the next 3 months on the journey to your year plan, on the journey to your 3 and 5 year objectives in terms of doing things. And that really does work. And you're demonstrating through everything you've said just how important that is and how successful it is. So, I think
the worst thing is to do a strategy map for 12 months, stick it in the drawer, and then come back 12 months later and realise you haven't hit anything.
Yes,
so we're constantly casting that 3 months on top of So we have a plan for the next 12 months every 3 months, and by continually visiting it, we can tweak it, fine tune it. We understand what's not working quickly and remove it from the plan. Perhaps it'll come back on in the future, and then we can certainly concentrate on what is working, and maybe weave that in with a little bit more colour.
So Andre, it's fantastic to meet you, because what you've done is you've taken all the sort of thinking of your business experience in terms of helping businesses, and you've refined it and brought it into one business and made it so successful in terms of the growth and everything you're doing. You can really see that. And
it's a collective approach. It's a collective approach. The guys I work with are brilliant. I'm only as good as the team around me.
Absolutely.
And they're wonderful. The business owners support the business, and the team are brilliant. We've got some brilliant guys, and that's what makes the business what it is.
No, that's really good. It's been fantastic thoughts and some really good advice all the way through this. So we always finish with a quick fire round. So we're ready for this, because
absolutely.
Your
Absolutely.
talking's been great. So okay, if you could go back to your younger you, what bit of advice would you give yourself? Listen. Brilliant.
Listen. You've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. So it's a reason for that. If you use it in that ratio, you'll be successful. Listen, because you'll be surprised at the value of what you hear.
Awesome. Any books that you'd recommend?
How to Eat Your Frog. How to Eat Your Frog is something I live by even today. So get that really challenging task out of the way as early as you can, and you tend to have a productive day.
Any podcasts you listen to you'd recommend?
I like to listen to a few different things. Just finding that. I think the important thing is finding the business support and that's right for you. So, the stuff that I listen to might not be right for somebody else, but it's getting out there and listening to stuff And, you'll find there's so much available now on the internet. If you just take the time to get out there and have a listen. I'm a big fan of Jordan Peterson, but, that's probably my personality. Get out there, listen to as much as you can, and, you will find something that is, aligns to your way of thinking, and something that you can use to support your own personal development. Developing yourself is so massively important.
Brilliant. Super. So who has had the most influence on you as a business leader?
A former boss of mine, a chap called Chris Matthews, was very strict with me in my younger days, but really showed me that personal development and controlling your emotions in a workplace are two key ingredients of being successful. So, a guy called Chris Matthews. I was a production manager in my mid-20s. He was very, very strict with me, but the two key things that he illustrated to me were controlling your emotions, because I was a bit emotional in those days, and self-development. So, taking the time to develop yourself as a human is massively important to your career development.
Thank you. And what's your most successful marketing or lead generation tactic?
Instagram, using the power of Instagram. We work in a business where we produce stuff. So if you're producing something, a picture paints 1,000 words, and all that kind of stuff. Using social media and using it correctly will really, really accelerate any marketing within your business. And it's free.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. How can people get hold of you?
I'm available for any advice. I'm always happy to give advice and support. Can I give my mobile number? Is that something that...
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah, so mobile number is 074 838 02908, or email address is quotes@abfencingsiren.co.uk. Always happy to have a chat. You can find me really easy on LinkedIn, Andre Smague. There's only one of me. Surname is spelled Smague. Always happy to link up, on LinkedIn, or send me an email or drop me a line, and, always happy to have a chat.
Andre, thank you very much for this discussion and taking us through your business, and your focus as a business on people and quality is inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I probably said way too many times, so apologies for that.
Don't forget to take a look at www.bizsmarts.co.uk to access a great range of resources to help you in your scale-up journey. So that's bizsmarts.co.uk, which is bizsmarts.co.uk.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.